Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is Luca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a dream. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. I always said one of the reasons why I love to be on the air on the show, even though normally I don't really care, it is because I try to use this opportunity to better communicate with each other. And as I said, this is exactly the forum. I invite and I always welcome people that we may have disagreements because, after all, maybe sometimes communication is the essence to know more exactly what we're trying to say. And, especially when it comes down to public business and people work for us and they represent and they also manage our tax dollar, I think this is a very important opportunity. And I always say, everything starts at local level. Yes, we have a federal government is out of control, but at the same time, we may not change that immediately. But I really believe we have a great opportunity with our input of taxpayers and citizens, of course, to try to improve what's going on in our counties. That's the idea. Now, straight to the point. I read a few days ago an article from the Mohave News, today's News Herald, regarding this program, or at least this grant, or let's say incentive exactly, of $500,000 that the Mohave County Supervisors gave, or they want to give, to this private company to relocate or to start to create some sort of a business here in Mohave County. Now, before I go ahead, I want to be sure I really appreciate when I invite somebody that normally I disagree, and I call him, I try to create, of course, some controversy. That's part of the idea to have a talk show. I don't want to have people that we agree, otherwise it would be very boring. So anyway, whenever I call somebody on Facebook and they want to come here on the air and say their side, first of all, not only I invite them, but I'm very happy to have them here because this is exactly the purpose of the show. To have people that we have different ideas, or at least maybe we think we have different ideas, and we find out exactly what's going on. Now, today I'm going to have in the next few seconds Supervisor from District 2, Mohave County Supervisor Hildy Angius. And by the way, we have a lot of things we've been agreeing with her, but on this one, I call her off, and I say exactly what I say, and I stay behind my words. And I want to be proven wrong, of course, that's the idea. On this post that was exactly posted yesterday, at least a few days ago, on my Facebook page, I said there are two different types of socialist programs, people's welfare and corporate welfare. This is exactly an example of corporate welfare. Very disappointed with Supervisor Hildy Angius and Stephen Moss. I don't talk for the others one because I'm always disappointed with the other two. But the funny thing there was, anyway, Supervisor Johnson, that normally I don't really get along, or at least, I don't have much the same tune. On this one, he was right. But exactly what happened? Let me just give the floor to Supervisor Hildy Angius so she can explain exactly what is this $500,000 in incentive. And also she can say exactly why it is a good thing for Mohave County and for our tax dollar to have done that. And I also said to Supervisor Moss that he's going to listen to this show. If he wants to add something, I will have him too. That's the idea. Anyway, Supervisor Hildy Angius, are you there?
I am here.
Thank
you very much, Luca, for having me. I always enjoyed talking to you. We go back, and I think we agree on more than we disagree. And I have credited Luca Zanna with being one of the reasons, a large reason why I am sitting where I am sitting. So I listen to what Luca says because I think everything that he says is very important, and that's why I wanted to maybe clear up some misunderstandings. And I think there are some misunderstandings, but there's also philosophical things. Mm-hmm. Granted. But first of all, this incentive, it's $500,000 from Mohave County and $500,000 from the state. What happens is, if a large enough company, we're not talking about a small company, we're talking about a company like Dot Foods that has $6 billion in receipts, wants to relocate. We're always talking about trying to get business and economic development into our state. And, Phoenix does what they do, but they rarely, let's say, throw leads our way. It's very hard to get companies to come to Mohave County. Let's be honest. It's we are a kind of a poorer county. There are issues with our workforce, and those are the kinds of things that we're told constantly. So when something like this comes along, and what happens is, so Dot Foods goes and they talk to an agency out of Phoenix, the state, called the Arizona Commerce Authority. And they say, okay, guys, we want to come to Arizona. If we look at our map, we have kind of a hole in the southwest. They are a food distribution company, a huge one. I think they're like the second largest in the country. And they look at the whole United States and the kinds of incentives other states. I mean, if you look at New York. I mean, after years of driving away business, they're getting business back because they're giving these incentives. And incentives can take many, many forms. I think the ones that we are used to are sort of like tax incentives. When the Target came to Bullhead City, they did like sort of a moratorium on sales tax, things like that. It is sort of a new thing for Arizona and Mohave County, and this is, I think, where our disagreement comes from. And I don't want to say disagreement because I don't like it either. Nobody likes it. This is, I know people don't like this, it's kind of the new norm. But I don't look at it as welfare, and I'm going to tell you why. Welfare is giving money to something, and that with no expectation of return. This is an investment. So let me go on with that, just so that in your back of your head, okay? So they go down to the Arizona Commerce Authority, and they say, this is what we would like. This is what we see other states will give us. And for us to come here, we would like $1 million. All right, and so the state looks at that, and they say, okay, and then they vet. The state, we didn't vet them. The state vets them and says, they are what they say they are, this, and then they look around the state and say, where would be a really good place for them? And the first place they actually looked at was Lake Havasu. Lake Havasu wanted them really badly. Everybody wants business, right? Jobs, business. But it had to do with the amount of land. They need a lot of land. I know people on your Facebook page were talking about we have so many empty buildings in Mohave County, and that is true. But this is a very unique kind of business where they need specialized. And you're talking about basically building a giant refrigerator in the middle of Mohave County, right?
Yes. And
it's a trucking. It's a trucking company. It's called Dot Foods Transportation, and they distribute. So they needed land, and so that didn't work out in Havasu. So then they went to Bullhead City, and Bullhead City wanted them so bad, and they went looking around. Now the problem with like Havasu and Bullhead is that they can't give the incentives because that would be welfare. Because they cannot get that money back. They don't have property tax. Right? If you're going to build, if you build in Bullhead City, where does the property tax go? It goes to the county.
Yes.
So it would be, and people would have issues with that. So what Bullhead City said they can do is team up with MCC, the college, and help invest in the college, which would be good for everybody, and put together a program because they're going to need a very distinct kind of transportation, truck driving, CDL kind of program, college program. So they're going to have to train people how to do the work that they need to do. So Bullhead City said, okay, we will invest $50,000. And then I think the next they went to, it was such a sort of event where everybody came together to see if we can get this company here. And the reason we want this company here is so important. First of all, they're proposing to invest just to build their building $45 to $49 million. That will be almost a $50 million project being built here in Mohave County, using our workers, our supplies, everything. So that would come back here, and then afterwards, they say they are going to after phase one, after 3 years, they will create 170 jobs with an annual payroll of 8 to 9 million, excluding benefits. But we have assurances that they will pay up to 65 to 68% of health insurance benefits. And then they needed enough land for future expansion because they plan to expand. So the state says, this is a great company. We really want them here. Mohave County, we will come up with $500,000, but we want to see you invest in yourself.
Okay.
All right? Because we see it, and I'm not just saying this as a way to cover up. This is an investment, because if you looked, and I sent you, we had third-party consultants come and look at the deal, make sure it is what we think it is and what they say it is, and they agreed. On property taxes alone, we will make back this $500,000 in 3 years.
Okay.
But it's even better than that, because it's not like we say we shake hands and we cut them a check for $500,000. It is all on benchmarks. So they have to fulfill certain obligations before we cut them checks. And that's the state, too. We're basically piggybacking on the state, on their deal. We're not flying solo. We are sort of in business now with the state to get this company here, right? And the state makes out, too, because, they get their taxes and they get their roads. This company has to help build and fix roads. This company has to, do a whole myriad of things before they get a dime from Mohave County. So if at any time they don't meet these benchmarks, they don't get paid. I think there are 3, but don't quote me. I could get this to you after.
Okay.
I think there are 3 separate benchmarks at times where, okay, after you hire, 78 people, and the average salary is $43,000. These are middle-class jobs. These are not, casino jobs or fast food. These are good family wage-earning jobs. We've been looking for jobs like this, and they don't come very often, believe me. So when the state comes and says, Mohave County, we want you to invest in yourself, will you do that? We'll invest in you, but you've got to show us that you want to invest in you too. We're like, we're there.
Okay.
We're there.
Let me ask you a couple of questions.
Yeah.
I got you probably about 10 minutes, and that's exactly the idea. I want to let you talk. This is not about interrupting and tell you things over. I want people to understand. This is about exactly, it's our tax dollar. This is the perfect platform, so we know exactly why you're doing this. And I'm sure there are a lot of good intentions. Don't get me wrong. This is about being business. But that's exactly my question I would like to ask. Would this the role of government? Is the role of government to be in business, to create jobs? Because the point is, before we go into the good things that you just said, I'm sure there are some very good equations that we cannot underestimate. But let's put first of all, what is exactly the role of government according to your principles, according to our oath of office that you took? First of all, also. And number 2, you think that the job is a right for a human being or not? That's the 2 questions I have for you.
Wait, I didn't understand the last question.
The second question is, first question, what is the role of government? Okay,
right.
Number 1. Number 2, is job for a person, for an American, for a human being, is a right or not? That's the second question.
Okay, the role of government, I agree with you philosophically on all of that. We have crossed that bridge so long ago. I mean, who's the biggest employer? Is government. I don't want to see more government jobs. I want to see private industry jobs. Okay? If in our perfect world, a company would look and say, gee, Mohave County, that would be a really nice place. But that's not the way, when I was running for office or when you talk on the radio, we have sort of this, we talk in ideas and philosophies. But, and this is the interesting part of getting elected. Once you're elected, you have a whole other set of responsibilities. And I look at Mohave County, and I look at the needs of Mohave County and say, you know what? Maybe my philosophy about what government should and shouldn't do, it counters what I'm about to do, but in the end, it is a good thing, and I don't even think it is as bad as you say it is.
Okay, let me stop you 1 second. Okay,
investment. I'm not. Maybe you're going to think that I'm sort of trying to rationalize it.
No.
But I don't see it as a role of government because
Supervisor Angius.
But we can say the role of government, and look how much we take from these companies.
I understand. Let me tell you one thing, and there are different ways to obtain deserved results, in my opinion. But then I'll tell you also the solution, because I'm not here to bash you or to put down when you try to do something with a good intention. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
You have the good intentions for the people. But the point is, at the same time, that also, in my opinion, if we are coming from a point of view, for example, did you support the bailout, the care bailout by Obama administration? Did you support all this bailout from the federal government? Okay, this is in small scale. Is the same philosophy. If we do not support, or if we did not support the federal government putting out tax dollar, becoming in business, think about it, the federal government went in business with the car industry. They can say the same thing. There was an investment. After all, if they kept the car industry going, they could have kept this business in the country and, more important, get more tax dollar or revenues. The same principles. So if we did not support that, that's why, especially coming from you and Supervisor Moss, I'm kind of a little bit shocked, because I know where you normally were coming from, at least on many other issues. And I say, wow, this is exactly what normally I would expect from as a more statist / socialist. And I'm not trying to put you down or call you names, but this is exactly the point. The road to hell.
I understand what you're saying. I really do. And I was prepared for it. We talked about it, that this is probably going to be what people think. But the bottom line is we have a county where we have such a high unemployment rate, when the only jobs people can get are low-paying minimum wage jobs.
Okay.
And we have an opportunity to get this company that not only will create middle-class jobs, that will create a whole other subculture of wealth, but will create another tax base to hopefully lower, so we don't have to every year go through all of these things that we go through about taxes, and it all comes down to taxes. We are losing businesses. I mean, you go up and down Highway 95 here, there are so many businesses closed.
I understand.
And so again, you have to weigh. And this is what I say. I philosophically, I agree with you, but I didn't make the rules. And if we're going to be a growing county, I think that if you're going to run with the big, if you want to run with the big boys, if you want to have economic development, there are things that you're going to have to do, and then maybe take a shower after.
Okay, let me get you 1 second. So let's at least, I say I respect you and Stephen Moss, because the idea is exactly whatever you do something, at least you stand behind your point and you got your answers, and that's fine. We may not agree or not, but that's the bottom line. At least you don't run and hide. You did what you did, and you got your answer that you just gave to the public, to us tax dollars. Now, and just because we are here, of course, talking. This is just a little talk radio show. We cannot change everything, but at least we can put people into thinking. All we can do is think, and maybe we can communicate with you. The reality is that according to, let's say, first of all, Benito Mussolini, that's what he said. And I'm not trying to call you a fascist, okay? But the point is, the union. I know. At least this is. I'm just talking through facts and what the things are. Okay, socialism is not even that, nothing else than fascism, the union between corporations and the state. In this case, even if it's just $500,000, okay, and I understand all the good reason you have behind, but we have $500,000 of our tax dollar that Mohave County is happy to share, redistribute, in this case, redistribution of wealth with a private corporation. Now, I also have another question, mostly for the corporation. Like them, they have multi-billion-dollar business. this little stinky tinky little tip, because $1 million for a company like that, it's almost nothing. Seriously, probably they pay the parking lot. Okay,
I agree with that.
I mean, is that really going to make change their mind?
Yes, I'll tell you why. I'm really glad you brought that up, because this particular company, and we've gotten to know them. They're from the Midwest. Dot it's a family-owned business.
Okay.
It is not, and they say they will never go public. They want they like the freedom that they have, keeping it a privately held company.
Okay.
Dot is the mother, Dorothy.
Okay.
All right, so they are a good Midwest conservative company. They want to know that they're coming into a town that wants them, that is going to work with them. They like to be sort of, for lack of a better term, big fish in a little pond.
Okay.
They come into communities, and then they become part of the community. If you look at everything they do, you look on their website, they give millions of dollars into the communities that they're in. This is an opportunity that doesn't come very often to a place like Mohave County, and I am thrilled. And I think, again, we're not giving them money that we are not going to get back 10, 20-fold. It is an investment, and when you have investment, there's an expectation of return.
Okay.
And the expectation of return that I believe that this company is going to give to Mohave County is going to be felt for years and years. Into our school districts, into our fire districts that are really hurting. You know, how many of our big businesses have shut down, and then you see these little school districts that have no money left. We have problems. So when a big company like this says, we want, and you're right, it's not a big amount, but what it shows them is that we want you. Because they're going to take that money and they're going to put it right back into Mohave County. But it shows a level of buy-in. And apparently this is the way business is done these days.
Okay.
You know, we don't know.
That's fine.
Yeah, and you know, we have discussed. It wasn't like this was presented and it was like we had discussions about it. I mean, we understand that we are a conservative county and that people will. That's why I don't like the term corporate welfare, because it's not corporate welfare. It is an investment.
Okay, and so Obama said, and so Bush said, when they were investing money into the banking system, into the car industry system, it's always an investment, because technically they want their money back with the interest, and they can control, or at least they have some sort of regulations. I mean, I read your contract, listed the points, you know. You don't just give this money away, okay, I give you the money. No, you in demand, you ask some sort of points, you know. And I tell you, and that's exactly what disturbed me, because that's exactly proved the point that when there is a government, doesn't matter if it's a state, federal, or local government, that can regulate, in this case through a grant or through a simple donation, or let's put it in this way, tax dollar, extorted dollar. But the point is, you can give this money to a corporation with some string attached. They're called regulations. So the more and more, that's why I say I'm even shocked why this big company, for just a little $1 million, it would go through all this sort of commitment they has to do according to what you wrote and what you ask and demand, because I tell you, it wouldn't be worth the $1 million right there, or the $500,000 from the county. But that's okay. At least, as I said, I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm just trying to bring facts when it comes down to, you know, some logic according to what normally we believe. And as you said, you know, this is now you talking because in your seat right now, sitting there, you see that this is the right thing to do. Now, I have a question. More important, I have maybe an answer. There may be other ways to do the same goal you try to achieve. I mean, if you want to bring businesses in Mohave County, I think we are creating now a very bad precedent, because let's say I have some friends, for example, from California. They have really small companies. I'm talking about $2-3 million company, okay? Not in serious like this huge multi-billion-dollar company. But they want to come here. And they say, wow, now I want something too. And at this point, you know, the Pandora's vase is being opened. And everybody, you know, if we have really equal protection under the law and we're supposed to have all the same rights, corporation included, why this corporation say, okay, you got a special $500,000 treatment, and then instead you, if you're just small and pop, you know, a couple $1 million small business, I'm sorry, you got to sort it out yourself. So that's exactly also another thing that I'm a little concerned. What do you think about this?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, of course. Go ahead.
It is not like this is not a policy contract. Government boards can do what they want to do. We do not have to give everything. But on the other hand, if another company like Dot Foods that is willing to give us 170 to 200 jobs, paying $43,000, and give us the same, come on in. I don't see why that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that.
That's good. Listen, as I said,
and that all that would mean is that Mohave County would grow. And again, then you have this discussion: how much do you want to grow? I mean, do you want to be a county that is poor and we can't, that is a retirement community? And I'm just saying that is a discussion that we have ongoing over and over again.
Let's find another solution. I'll give you now my solution. For you, at least for the supervisors that at this point try to give this incentive of our tax dollar, redistributing our tax dollar to come here, that's the solution. My humble solution, if we go back to the main question I asked you, what is the role of government? Is, first of all, job a right or not? I'll give you my answer. The role of government, for sure, it is not to create anything like businesses. It's to defend the people's rights. And of course, indirectly, when there is freedom, and that was supposed to be your job, guys, to be sure that this county, there is a system that is equal for everybody. We have the basic infrastructure. We have the basic, sheriff, and people doesn't feel threatened, and we don't live like in the Wild West. Then at that point, I think we have a good, fertile ground to create us private to come here and create business. But it's not your job to create anything. You're supposed just to administer the building and the offices that they take care of the basic function of government. Number two, is job a right? Of course not. Because otherwise we go really back to Europe, that in the European Constitution, every citizen must have a job. That's part of the Communist Marxist Manifesto. It is a right only if I gain that right. It's a privilege. I create my own job, or I get hired because I'm worth something. Now, my simple solution, maybe disagreement from probably the philosophy, but I think there's also something to contemplate. If we stay out of people's business, I mean, if government leave businesses a little bit more alone, that means with less regulations, less taxation, less property taxes, and you guys take care of the basic things like, creating infrastructures, roads. That's what's supposed to be your job. And the way that the communication, everything that honestly was private, but still. At that point, when we have low property taxes, look at, for example, in Texas, there is some areas of Texas, like Dallas, I heard, there are completely not even permits, unregulated. So you can have a private contract with the owner, landlord, and you can start your own business. You don't need to go to the county and then jump around, all these committees and the planning and zoning and begging and banging, and then all these permits. It's much more strict, linear. And business, they are going and flourishing there. So that's, I think, really what I would have thought from somebody like you guys, especially Supervisor Moss, and you coming from normally a point of free market, last time we talked, and, individual rights and less government. And now I see, and that's okay, that's, the direction we have instead. The role of government is to provide jobs, I guess. Are you still there?
I'm still there. I'm listening to what you're saying.
And that was pretty much it. And I'm not trying.
Go
ahead.
Everything the government does is sort of a redistribution of wealth. We have left that train, and I would love to live in that world that you just described. I would.
Okay.
But it's not going to happen right now.
Okay.
So,
or at least I want to thank you.
Something is going to. But wait, Luca, something is going to happen, and I think you'll like it. And
Go ahead.
You talked about Texas. Tune in next month at P&Z. Because we are, you heard, and this is something maybe I should save for another show.
Yes.
But there was something called an ag exemption, and it was totally misused, and so I'm hoping to change that into something that is going to help everybody with less permitting and less fees and less inspections.
Great.
And so I'm working on that. But I got to stand by this decision. I think it is a win-win for everyone, given the world we live in today. And I pray this company comes to Mohave County. I think it will be a great thing to have in
When
our
are we
county
going
for
to
so
know
many
that?
reasons.
When you were supposed to know, yes or no?
I think we'll know like tomorrow. I think
Wow.
we'll know by the end of this week. And maybe the earliest. But it was between, again, because everybody wants these companies, and again, didn't make the rules. So we were, and this is not a secret. They talked about it. It was between us and Henderson, Nevada.
Okay.
And what we offer instead of Henderson, Nevada, is sort of our sense of community. Clark County, you have access to your supervisors. You have access. You can make a call, and it's easier to get things done. And I do think we have a wonderful community, and that's what they want to be a part of, because they're giving their family. And so I think if you look at everything and why they keep coming back here is because they do understand that it is a good fit for them, and that's why you're right. In the whole scheme of things, $500,000 to them is not much, but they want to make sure that we really, that we're invested in it too.
Okay.
And I think that's smart.
All right. Listen, I want to thank you, Supervisor Angius. I want to thank you, and as usual, I respect everybody that maybe we have a little bit different of ideas. You come here and you defend your ideas. I respect you for that. That's all I can say, okay? Thank you very much.
When we do the ag exemption, can we talk about that too?
Of course, I would love that, okay?
All right, you got it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Keep it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was Supervisor Hildy Angius, and this is exactly the idea. The show is exactly to exchange opinions, try to understand better each other, to be sure we have no misunderstanding. I hate when sometimes I read things from the newspapers. I want to be sure the person say exactly on regular. And this is it. And then everybody can make up their mind, and maybe we can help each other, even improving ideas. After all, I'm not here to bash. I would like to give you also some other input. As I said, yes, we want to bring business in the county. I'm with you. I am for private business. I am a private business, okay? I never really collected any paycheck from anybody, but before a month in my life. That's it. But my point is, there are different ways. How can you improve this type of, free market enterprise atmosphere that you don't feel fearing to start to create something? Government should supposed to be a support, not an harassment. Taxation is supposed to be, honestly, zero, but that's another story. But, at least fair, okay? Not using us like, cows to milk. So lower the taxes, have a better environment where people, when it wants to open business, it doesn't take that much. You don't need to feel like, oh my God, now I'm begging. Think about it. I mean, especially if you're in some very regulated businesses like the alcohol business, you have not really any right. The point is, you always are at the mercy of some bureaucracy, okay? Try to open a beer shop, try to open a winery, try to open anything with alcohol. You realize that you have really no right. It's just a privilege. And so in general, with every business, because after all, you have a license. The license is exactly what you don't have the right to the right to speak, the right to be free. No, you don't have the right to make your own living unless government gives you the piece of paper they can always remove whenever they don't feel like it. I think the really only license we should have is supposed to be from the consumers. The moment that we do not perform in the right way, we do not fulfill our ethical way to do business, guess what? We're going to go out of business pretty soon. That's the bottom line. But this is just me talking. Of course, I'm an extreme, and somebody called me a lunatic out there, but that's fine. I am behind these words. This is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. And don't go away. We got more news and more exciting things going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers.
Here we go, guys. That was a great interview with the supervisor, Mohave County Supervisor Hildy Angius. As I said, this is exactly the purpose of the show. Try to, first of all, learn from each other, because sometimes, we don't know everything. And more important, be having a communication is pretty good, especially when we have a civil communication. Because at the end of the day, as I said, we have differences of opinions. And for me, this is exactly one of the reasons why I want to be on the air. I don't